Hello and welcome back to another video. In this one I wanted to talk about lust, greed and anger. So these three things are the major um, source of suffering. That is, we always find ourselves in a bad position because of these three um, sins or bad feeling. I wouldn't say that these things are bad because they are there for a reason. The the opposite of these three things is not what we usually think it is. So, for example, the opposite of lust is not absence of lust. The opposite of greed is not absence of greed, and the opposite of anger is not peace or absence of anger. Um we need to understand that these terms and these feelings and these situations are are the lowest part of a spectrum. So first, let us look at the the lust that we deal with every single day. Or so the opposite of lust is love, and you need to train your mind to understand this because every time you encounter lust in your life, you will think that lust is something bad, and you want to eradicate it or have a experience of not lust or non-lust. In fact, you should be sublimating this lust into love, which is the other end of the spectrum. So lust can be sublimated into love, and you see that this sublimation takes place through three major, so through three um, through an intense cultivation of awareness, through patience and through practice. So, whenever lust arises, you must see that lust is the animalistic form of love, which is very superficial and related somehow to the body. So, in order to deal with lust, you need to be able to convert this energy of lust into love. And this requires, of course, awareness of the lust when it arises, and then effort to change this lust into love. And this effort needs to be applied on a regular basis, and it should be practiced in order to completely transform lust into love. And this is a very crucial step in your spiritual path. Um, in order to become desireless, you don't you, you need not think of it as something negating the feeling. So, for example, we have this misconception in the spiritual community that lust is the opposite of lust is not having lust, which is a wrong misconception because lust is there for you to sublimate it into love. So when you practice moving your lust towards the other end of the spectrum and changing it into love, you will see a lot of changes in your life. You will see that you are moving towards unity, and you see that you are not looking at the world or human beings in general as in the terms of duality. You don't see a woman for uh, in a transactional basis. So the more you indulge in lust, the more transactional your mind becomes, the more materialistic you become, and the more animalistic you become. This can be looked into, for example, when a child or teenager discovers lust for the first time, he tends to abandon his spiritual practices, thinking that lust is something bad. And since this bad thing is giving him intense pleasure, we start chasing this intense pleasure and becoming more and more materialistic. This is why people stray away from the spiritual path, no matter which spiritual path you are in or which tradition you belong to. Even if you are a Hindu and you discovered sex for the first time, or you discovered lust for the first time, you tend to stray from spirituality and move towards materialism. Why is this? It's because this um, this thing called lust has a very strong grasp on the mind, in the sense that it gives you pleasure in a jolt, and this pleasure is what the mind tries to seek. So the mind is always looking for good experiences. Every time, every moment of your life, you are chasing a good experience. And when you are in a good experience, you are kind of intoxicated. And once this intoxication dries off, and once this good experience dries off, you come back to reality, which is this intoxication again. Whatever this is, whatever this chase is, it is the chase of the mind, and it always wants to chase something in the future. So now that you have discovered lust, you need to understand that it is important to sublimate this lust into love and transmute this energy that is arising in you into uh, into love, and you will see that different realms and different aspects of your life are changing. You will have more knowledge, you will have more awareness, more clarity in your life. You will have energy to actually chase your dreams. You will be able to love people as they are, and most importantly, you will be able to love yourself as you are. And the more you are able to convert lust into love, you are turning your mind from the perspective of duality into perspective of unity and non-duality. You are changing your mind into thinking from the basis of a system that is rooted in unity instead of duality. And the more you practice sublimating lust into love, you will see that you are looking at yourself not as a man or a woman. You are looking at yourself as a combination of both the masculine and the feminine. And this combination, when it becomes completely balanced, you become whole and you become unified as a person. You will start to see even the other people as not men or women. You'll start to see them as unique individual personalities. that have both the aspect of a masculine and the feminine. And you will eventually have to transcend the borders of a duality which the mind delves in. The mind likes to indulge in duality because it cannot understand anything except duality. It cannot grasp the ungraspable. And in understanding that and in transcending duality, you must transcend lust also. So, the next time you encounter lust in your life, use that opportunity to try to move it towards left. So, for example, if you are a woman and you are encountering lust, try to talk to a man in a way that is not sexual or uh, not lustful, and this this can help you see the man as more than a man or a woman as more than a woman, and this will help you sublimate this lust into love. So, and there are the three things that you can do when you encounter lust or any lower form of desire is first be aware of it. So there is a gap between when the desire arises and when the thought arises and when the action is performed on this thought and desire. So this gap uh, is the crucial moment when you decide to convert this thought or desire into action. And the moment when this thought or desire is converted into action, impressions are formed, and impressions will lead to further impressions and further desires and further complications. So, in order to be able to actually see this gap, you need to be aware and you need to be and delve in awareness. The that is what you are. The mind is it's an instrument, it's a pattern that needs to be in control. Of course, it's very hard to control the mind, but the patterns can be directed, and this can be done only through awareness and cultivating awareness. This can also, if you are really passionate about seeking truth and seeking unity, then cultivating awareness is the first step in the spiritual path. And once you and anything that takes away your awareness is a is an obstruction in the path. Of course, it's okay to be unaware sometimes. It's okay to lose yourself sometimes. But when these desires arise, especially these three forms, lust, greed, and anger, which are the root cause of suffering, when these arise, you must be able to be aware in the gap between the thought and the desire and the moment of action. Awareness, patience, and practice. So, when you find yourself in the moment or in the difficult situation or in the gap, and the thought is converting itself into the action, it requires tremendous amount of self-control and self-control and discipline and courage. And the best way that can help you in self-control is realizing the impermanence of everything. That is, realizing that the experience that you are having at that moment, the the urge to delve into the desire, you need to understand that it is impermanent. Just as the experience of indulging in the desire is impermanent, the moment that that you are suffering with the desire is also impermanent. So so always remember that the opposite of lust is love. It is not absence of lust, and of course it's going to be difficult and it's going to take a lot of effort and practice from our side, but it's not impossible. And you will see that once you become a loving person, the effect it has on your life is enormous. People will approach you for the love that you are naturally radiating. And I have seen people who naturally radiate this love, and it is because of sublimation of this lowest desire called lust. It is difficult, but it is eventually possible. And once you understand the patterns that you yourself work on, that your mind tries to play tricks and games, once you understand these patterns, it is very easy to overcome lust of any form. The next aspect of is greed, which falls into the spectrum of success. So the opposite of greed is not absence of greed. It is or piousness. It is not that. Uh, it is on a spectrum towards success. So in order to get rid of greed, you don't really have to negate the feeling of greed. You need to be able to convert it into success. And how do you do this? And why do you actually commit greedy acts? Greed is a form of short term gratification in the sense that if, if anything that is uh, attainable in a very short time, attainable without effort, is something that the mind craves because the especially in material uh, world, if it's related to wealth, the mind is very susceptible to falling into the trap of greed. So how can you sublimate greed into success? First is to delve into the moral aspects of greed. Why is it wrong to commit a greedy act? Greed is a form of short-term gratification that will destroy your material world. Of course, it's going to give you a sense of pleasure, which is attainable in just a few days or few moments or few decisions that are going to be overlooked. But it's going to go into the deep recesses of your mind, and then it's going to gnaw you. It's going to come up in your nightmares because everybody is born with conscience. Regardless of whether the person has been given moral knowledge or not, every person is born with a conscience of good and bad. So a person who commits bad acts does not is not necessarily trained in morality. He does not necessarily need to be trained in morality to understand that this bad act is bad. He will eventually, through his own conscious, understand that good is good. There is something called good conscience and bad conscience. So, a greedy act is an act that is on the spectrum of success. So, the three uh, things that you need to do when you encounter greed in your life is awareness of this greed, and practice and effort to change this greed into success, to take up a challenge for yourself to not indulge in the greedy act and be more forward and be more acceptable for long-term gratification rather than indulging in a short-term gratifying act. So in this video we talked about the two major aspects, that is love, lust and greed and success. I hope it gave you an insight on your spiritual path, and I hope it helped you. Thank you for watching this video. I will post another video about anger and how you can sublimate anger into passion. Thank you for watching this video.